We were talking about Dominic Cummings a few moments ago, that trip to Barnard Castle, much commented upon. County Durham Police were looking into it. Let's go back to our political correspondent, Rob Powell, who's got some news on this. Rob.
Yeah, I said a statement from Durham Police could have been coming imminently. Turns out it was very imminently. They have released a statement literally in the last few minutes in which Durham Constabulary have said that Mr Cummings, in driving and locating himself at his father's premises, Durham Police does not consider that by locating himself at his father's premises that he committed an offence contrary to Regulation 6 of the Health Protection Act. So they concluded he hasn't committed an offence in terms of that initial journey to Durham, but importantly, on that trip that he took to Barnard Castle on the 12th of April, where he said he did that to check his eyesight, to check that he was OK to drive. The Durham Constabulary say they've examined the circumstances surrounding the journey to Barnard Castle, including number plate recognition, witness evidence and a review of Mr Cummings' press conference. You can see the pictures of that on your screen now. And they've concluded there might have been a minor breach of the regulations that would have warranted police intervention. Durham Constabulary view this as minor because there was no apparent breach of social distancing. Now, it's quite a lengthy statement. Durham Constabulary also said that had one of their police officers stopped Mr Cummings driving to or from Barnard Castle, the officer would have spoken to him and, having established the facts, likely advised Mr Cummings to return to the address in Durham. They also say that in line with their general approach throughout the pandemic, there's no intention to take retrospective action in respect of that Barnard Castle incident. So, in summary, they say that there is no offence committed in terms of travelling to Durham, but there was a minor infringement of that in relation to that trip that he took to Barnard Castle, but they don't intend to take any action. Now, I think we're getting a statement through from Downing Street now as well. That's literally just come through. A number 10 spokesman saying the police have made clear they are taking no action against Mr Cummings over his self-isolation and that going to Durham did not breach the regulations. The Prime Minister has said he believes Mr Cummings behaved reasonably and legally given all the circumstances, and he regards this issue as closed. So that statement from Downing Street pointedly not addressing the fact that Durham Constabulary say that Mr Cummings did commit a minor infringement of the coronavirus pandemic guidelines when he went to Barnard Castle, simply saying that and acknowledging that Durham Constabulary say he didn't break the guidelines by going to Durham in the first place. I think this will probably reinvigorate calls for Mr Cummings to, at the very least, apologise, and for the government to acknowledge that what Mr Cummings did while he was in Durham did go against what the government have been saying that everyone else should do. As Durham Police do make it pretty clear that it was a minor breach, a breach of the regulations, albeit a minor breach that would have warranted police intervention. Now, I think there will be those that say that this means that because Dominic Cummings is one of the people who helped write these regulations, then he should be considering his position seen as he breached those very rules. You look back at previous cases in terms of Professor Neil Ferguson, Carol Calderwood in Scotland as well. They were both considered breaches that didn't warrant direct fines or anything from the police, but they both had to resign. So I think there will be calls for him to consider his position. The government, though, in that number 10 statement, seem to be have no intention at all from this statement anyway, of even acknowledging that the Prime Minister's chief advisor did actually break the rules. So a lobby briefing is going on as we speak. You imagine that spokesperson will be being pressed quite a lot on whether there will be some sort of apology from Dominic Cummings or an acknowledgement that when the Prime Minister and other ministers defended Mr Cummings and said that he didn't break the rules, actually now the police have concluded that he has.